Hello, everyone. So, Senator Marsha BlackBurn had some comments to make about Marxism, socialism, and somehow related that to Taylor Swift. It's absolutely preposterous. Take a look at this, and then I'll talk about it.
Entertainers and say, if we have a socialistic government, if we have Marxism, you are going to be the first ones who will be cut off, because the state would have to approve your music. And, you know, Taylor Swift came after me in my 2018 campaign, but Taylor Swift would be the first victim of that, because when you look at Marxist socialist societies, they do not allow women to dress or sing or be on stage or to entertain or the type music that she would have. They don't allow protection of private intellectual property rights.
Okay, so after watching that, I hope you feel as I do. I feel befuddled. I feel confused. I didn't learn anything from that. Well, I did learn something. I learned that Marsha BlackBurn has no idea what she's talking about. She doesn't know what socialism means. She doesn't know what Marxism means. And she's quite honestly clueless on certain topics, especially these. So let's get into this. First and foremost, allow me to state, I have no idea what her beef with Taylor Swift is. I don't even know if I was following politics at the time when her and Taylor Swift had some sort of falling out. I don't even know if I should call it that. I have no idea what her beef with Taylor Swift is what I'm trying to say. And quite frankly, I don't give a damn. Okay? But what I do care about is the spin that she's putting on the terms that was discussed in the video that you just watched. And I'm going to debunk it, because it's important that there is something out there to combat the farces, the lies, the fallacies that the right so often puts forward, okay? And the propaganda that they use to try to mold and shape the thinking of people that might not be as knowledgeable about these things as certain others may be. So first and foremost, she says that quite blatantly, if we have a socialistic government, a government run by Marxism, you will be the first ones to be cut off. What the fuck does cut off? What does that mean? What are they going to chop off a limb? Are they going to erase you from society? What does that mean? You see, they don't define cut off. What does that mean? Secondly, if we have, notice, if we have a socialistic government run by Marxism, what I want you to do, the viewer, or Marsha BlackBurn herself, point to me anywhere in the world where a society is run strictly by Marxism. Go ahead, leave a comment, let me know. You want to know why you can't? Because there isn't one, or at least there isn't one that I know of. An entire society, a country maybe, run by Marxism. I don't think one exists. I'm not going to sit here and try to define Marxism for you. I'll allow you to do that yourself, because honestly, at the end of the day, something like Marxism is up to the individual and how you interpret it. Okay? But there is no flat out Marxist society. No, it's not. Okay? So if we have a socialistic government, there are governments, social democracies that exist that have socialistic tendencies. And I'll get to that in just a second. But she says that the state would have to approve your music, referring to Taylor Swift, if the United States was a socialistic government, as she calls it. Why is that? Why would the state have to approve your music? You know what I love about the right? And when they start to talk about socialism, they always, they kind of define, not kind of, quite literally define the most harsh instances of communism. Because that's what that is. When the state comes in and basically controls everything. That's not anything that you're describing it as. You're confused is what you are. So let's look at Denmark, for example. Denmark has the kind of economy that I would personally subscribe to. which is a social democracy. Okay, so there's a mix of capitalism and socialism. So they still have capitalism, but it's heavily regulated. Okay, the people are heavily unionized. So like in Denmark, for example, there is no minimum wage because the people are so heavily unionized, right? So you don't really need one when you have collective bargaining, and you can fight for higher wages when you have a union. In a social democracy like Denmark, is any of the things that she just described occurring? Are women not allowed to dress or sing or be on stage? Are they not given the same rights that they're given to the women here in this country, this capitalistic country? No, they're not. They're not. So I don't understand what she's talking about. But you know what? The women in Saudi Arabia, one of our allies, one can argue, suffer greatly from what she just described, not being allowed to dress or sing or be on stage. That actually, I think, might be quite literally illegal. They practice, I believe, in Saudi Arabia, Sharia law, I think. If I'm wrong, correct me on it. But women don't have the same kind of rights that they do here in this country, in those countries, and those are our allies. They have to walk around in cloaks, and some of it may be for religious reasons, but some of the women might not want to engage in that, but they have no choice. But she says that, oh, in a socialistic society, that would be the reality. That's the reality in countries that don't have an inkling of socialism. And some of these countries we're in the bed with, committing atrocities with, or helping and abetting these countries commit atrocities across the world. So this disillusionment that the right tries to create when talking about left policy, terms that are associated with the left, it's just they're never honest and they're never sincere. And it's always lies, and they always try to frame things in a way that you would come out thinking something different had they given you all of the facts and had they given you accurate definitions. Socialism as a word has become increasingly popular over the years, and its popularity is only gaining, and it's especially gaining among African Americans. Allow me to continue. I find it hilarious how when these characters on the right, these actors, because that's what they are, they're not real people, they're characters, they're actors, they're pretenders. When they talk about socialism and things of that nature, they always put off the bad of capitalism and associate the bad of capitalism with socialism when it doesn't correlate whatsoever. So they'll take the problems that we deal with here in this capitalistic society and pawn it off to a socialistic society that doesn't suffer from the same problems, but they'll pretend like they do because capitalism is so great. You know, they'll say, oh, in a socialistic society, a few people at the top have all the money and things, and, you know, the people at the bottom, the massive people, will suffer. No, that's in fact capitalism, and we're living through it right now. It's not like that in a socialistic society. Let me tell you what happens in a socialistic society, in a social democracy. Everybody has health care. Every working person in that specific society can join a union. They have a right to unionize. They make a living wage. Education is free. There's much more freedom. There's much more of a democracy. Their political elections aren't as diluted and corrupted as the ones that we have here. That's what goes on in socialistic societies and societies with socialistic tendencies. The UK is a capitalistic society, one may say, but they have a healthcare system that is the epitome of socialism. Everything is nationalized. So, I mean, look, it's up to the own individual's interpretation. You interpret it however you want. If you would like to believe the fallacies and the lies that the right so often puts forth in regards to words like Marxism and socialism, which they try to use as scare words to, you know, get that 70-year-old grandma that's watching to go, oh my, if, you know, America turns to socialism, they'll take everything that I have, which is complete bullshit. But that's what they do. They're never honest, and it's honestly really difficult to find any kind of actor on the right to have an honest and open conversation about things like this. And it's incredibly sad to see.